Muslims in Europe are being told to boycott Israeli dates to avoid breaking their Ramadan fasts.
The next time you're drinking your favorite cup of coffee or eating your most favorite chocolate bar, think about the complex supply chain that they have and how it can be impacted by political and religious tensions around the world. Why do some corporations find themselves caught up in geopolitical conflicts? And what happens when consumers get in the crossfire? In today's video, we'll be talking about one of the most recent boycotts that have made the headlines: Muslims boycotting Israeli dates. A Muslim NGO operating in the UK by name of Friends of Al-Aqsa, FAO, has recently started a campaign called #CheckTheLabel. This campaign is encouraging Muslims across Europe to not buy dates from Israel to break their fasts in the upcoming month of Ramadan. They have expressed their disapproval of Israel's wickedness against the Palestinians by calling their dates taste of apartheid. A statement from FAO has said, by choosing not to buy Israeli dates this Ramadan, the Muslim community can send a clear and powerful message of condemnation of Israel's illegal occupation in Palestine. The campaign is a part of the Palestinian-led non-violent movement called Boycott, Divestment, and Sanctions, BDS, which was founded in 2005, and advocates from economic, cultural, and academic boycotts of Israel until the Israeli government complies with the international laws and recognizes the rights of the Palestinian people. Originally founded by Palestinians, this movement has now grown to become a global movement with supporters in various countries. More and more Palestinian houses are being demolished, and the Israeli government has announced that it also plans on expanding illegal settlements. With Ramadan just around the corner, Muslims are worried that attacks on Al-Aqsa will increase this year, as shown by the rapid increase in the last few years. In past incidents, Palestinian worshippers were attacked using tear gas, sound grenades, and steel-coated rubber bullets. Among those injured were also women, children, and the elderly. So this boycott is a way of Muslims sending a message to Israel that they shouldn't endanger lives of Muslims in the month of Ramadan. Currently, Israel is the world's largest exporter of the medjool dates, and 50% of their produce is transported to European countries and end up in the aisles of big supermarket chains. And a boycott like this will have an impact on the economy. FAO has urged people of UK to make sure they check the label when they buy groceries in preparation of Ramadan and do not buy any dates that have come from Israel. But is this campaign going to have any effect? Let's have a look at any past boycotts and analyze what impact they had on Israel, if any. One of the earliest examples was the Arab League boycott, which began in 1945 and was aimed at isolating Israel economically and politically. The boycott called for Arab countries to refuse to do business with Israel or with companies that did business with Israel. While the boycott had some economic impact on Israel, it also led to the development of new trade relationships outside the Arab world. A high-profile example of student-led BDS activism came in 2014, when the students' government at the University of California, Berkeley, passed a resolution calling for divestment from companies that do business with Israel. The resolution, which was later vetoed by the university's student president, sparked a heated debate on campus and drew national attention. The BDS movement has gained traction among progressive and left-leaning student groups who see it as a part of a broader struggle for social justice and human rights. Many of these groups draw parallels between the Palestinian struggle and other social justice movements, such as the civil rights movement in the United States and the anti-apartheid movement in South Africa. However, the BDS movement and student-led activism has also faced strong opposition from pro-Israel groups and some university administrators who argue that it unfairly singles out Israel for criticism and is a form of anti-Semitism. These critics argue that Israel is being held to a different standard than other countries and that the BDS movement seeks to delegitimize Israel as a state In 2015, there was yet another high-profile ban on Israeli products. The EU issued guidelines that required goods produced in Israeli settlements in the occupied Palestinian territories to be labeled as such. This move was seen as a way to discourage EU countries from importing goods from these settlements, which are considered illegal under international law. The labeling requirements sparked controversy, with some Israeli officials calling it a form of discrimination against Israel. In 2018, a ban was imposed by the city council of the Spanish capital, Madrid, which passed a motion calling for the boycott of Israeli goods produced in settlements in the occupied West Bank. The motion called on the city government to refrain from purchasing products from the companies that operate in the settlements and asked local businesses to do the same. Other countries and towns in Spain also joined this movement, including Barcelona, Valencia, and Gran Canarias. Israel once again became a victim and accused these governments of singling it out and ignoring all the other human rights violations happening all around the globe. The impact of these bans is highly debatable. Some argue that they do have a significant impact on Israel's economy. Others argue that they are just symbolic and does not cause much effect. Israel has tackled this situation in a tricky way. In response to these boycotts, they have consistently moved towards products that are not easily replaceable. So banning such products hurts not just Israel, but also the consumers in the country that imports these goods. Israel has also highly increased the quality of its goods. In 1980, over 90% of the value of Israeli exports were below the median world quality, but by 2015, almost 40% of Israeli exports are above the median quality. Also, most of the items exported from Israel are intermediary goods, so exports of other countries are directly affected. But when it comes to products like dates, which are a finished good and can be substituted easily, boycotts can have an impact. More industries for which a boycott can work is tourism, services, and other agricultural products. But one thing to be mindful of is that for Palestinians living in the occupied territories, the impact of these bans is very real. Many Palestinians work in Israeli settlements and depend on the income they receive from these jobs. A boycott can lead to job losses and economic hardships for the very people for whom these bans are imposed in the first place. So in conclusion, if a boycott is indirectly harming Palestinians and actually pushing Israel to adapt and come back stronger, then we need to be mindful of whether these bans are bringing about any successful results or not. We need to remember that our end goal is the liberation of Palestinians and should look for more ways in which this outcome can be achieved. Let us know in the comments whether you think boycotts and bans should be encouraged, and what other ways can we use to help our Palestinian brothers and sisters.